A narcissist doesn't choose you by accident. They choose you based on patterns they can control. And before we go any further, this is not about blaming you. This is about understanding what actually happened, because awareness is the first step to healing. So the real question is, why you? What makes someone more likely to get trapped in this kind of relationship? The answer is not weakness, it's unprotected strengths. You don't just understand people, you feel them. When someone hurts you, your first instinct is not to protect yourself, but to understand why they did it. You make excuses for them. You see their pain, their past, their struggles, and you carry it as if it's your responsibility. You forgive things that should never be forgiven easily. And over time, something subtle starts to happen. You're not just dealing with your own pain anymore, you're carrying theirs too. At the same time, guilt becomes your default emotion. Even when you're the one being hurt, there's a voice inside you that says, maybe it's my fault, maybe I overreacted, maybe I should have handled it better. And that guilt keeps you giving, it keeps you explaining, it keeps you trying to fix something that was never yours to fix. Then there's the fear of conflict. For you, conflict doesn't feel like a normal disagreement. It feels like danger. Your body reacts, your chest tightens, your mind goes blank. So instead of speaking up, you go quiet. Instead of setting limits, you adjust. Instead of saying, "This hurts me," you say, "It's okay." Not because you're weak, but because your brain is trying to keep you safe. Now look at the dynamic this creates. You give effort, time, emotional energy. You invest, you care, you stay consistent. And the other person controls something very specific: attention, approval, validation. They decide when to give it and when to take it away. And without realizing it, your brain starts adapting to this pattern. You start waiting, watching, overthinking, trying to get back to those moments when they were warm, present, and loving. This is where the attachment deepens. Because what you're experiencing is not just emotional, it's neurological. When attention is given inconsistently, the brain reacts more strongly. This is called intermittent reinforcement. It's the same mechanism behind addiction. Your brain starts chasing the possibility of a reward, not the reward itself. That's why you stay, not because it's good, but because it's unpredictable. And the more unpredictable it becomes, the harder it is to let go. Then come the boundaries. Boundaries are not just rules. They are a reflection of your identity. They define what you accept and what you don't. But in this kind of relationship, your boundaries are not just ignored, they are slowly dismantled. Not in one moment, not aggressively, but gradually. Through guilt, through pressure, through emotional consequences. Every time you try to say no, it turns into a problem. Every time you express a need, it becomes an argument. Every time you stand your ground, you feel like you're losing the connection. So over time, you stop trying. You stop saying no. You stop expressing yourself. You stop protecting your space. Until one day, you don't even know where your limits are anymore. And this is where it goes deeper. Because the longer you stay in this pattern, the more it starts changing how you see yourself. You begin to question your own perception. You start thinking, maybe I'm too sensitive. Maybe I expect too much. Maybe I'm the problem. You slowly disconnect from your own needs. They start to feel like a burden, like something that causes problems instead of something that deserves to be heard. And at the same time, something else happens. You start giving up your sense of control. You stop making decisions based on what you feel. Instead, you wait, you observe, you adjust based on how the other person reacts. Your emotional state becomes dependent on their behavior. And then comes one of the most dangerous shifts. You begin to associate strength with negativity. You start believing that being assertive is selfish, that having boundaries is harsh, that standing your ground makes you a bad person. So you choose to stay small, not because you want to, but because it feels safer. It feels more acceptable. It feels like the right thing to do. But in reality, this is exactly what keeps the cycle going. Now here is the turning point. Understanding your role in this pattern is not about blaming yourself. It's about taking your power back. Because once you can see the pattern clearly, you're no longer controlled by it in the same way. Healing doesn't happen all at once. It follows a process. First, awareness. You start seeing things as they really are. Then, acceptance. You stop denying the impact it had on you, and you take responsibility for your part in staying. And finally, change. You begin to act differently. You set boundaries. You reconnect with yourself. You stop participating in the same cycle. And this is where everything shifts. You were not chosen because you are weak. You were chosen because you have depth, empathy, and emotional capacity. But those strengths were not protected. And now you have a choice. You can stay in the same pattern, or you can break it. And the moment you decide to protect your energy, your boundaries, and your sense of self, that's when the healing truly begins.